Welcome back to the final finishing portion for the shaping rubber model propellers. In the previous video I did the rough carving from a shaped block, and we were left with this ready to sand propeller for the final finishing. To aid with the final finishing, I've got a couple of different sanders for doing the back side of the prop. This helps me with keeping the undercamber into it. This one here is quite easy to make. It's made from some, I think that was 1.5 inch ABS plumbing pipe, and I ran it through the table saw so it forms those two arcs like that. You get it sized just right, and the paper just folds in there, snaps in place, and it catches because this goes in and it snaps this out and kind of gets in. It goes a little bit past center, but you can pry it out and change paper easily. So that's a very handy tool to make, and you can make these up in different sizes. I've got a few of them. This is a little bit more gentle for the final finishing. And the other thing for the other tool I've made up for the top portion of the blades, the front portion of the blade, is a sanding file. This paper here, unfortunately, is about to cover the wood, so you can't really see it, but there's a section of 120 grit, and there's another section of 240 grit. This is a piece of 1/2 inch plywood that I just stapled the paper onto, 1 inch wide. So with fairly generously rounded edges in here, so that it doesn't tend to want to dig in. So you got a little bit of rounding there. Okay, we're going to start with the shaping the back side to encourage the undercamber. And in the carving video, you remember we used the knife kind of like on an angle like this to aid in generating the undercamber. We're going to continue that with the rounded sanding tools, and we're going to tend to shape along that kind of an angle so that we work the undercamber into it. And basically what you see me doing there is going to be what I'm going to do when I go off camera and do the actual bulwark here. We'll do that to both sides and get a nice smooth finish. And then after that, we're going to use that little trick I kind of showed you in the previous one for checking the shape, where you just pinch it between your fingers, and this helps you to see the airfoil shape. You can see there, I don't know if you can see it here, let me try it here. Right. When you get it just right, you'll see the undercamber, and when you get it on the other side here, you can see the airfoil shape just where it's in your fingers. Okay, and that'll be a quick tool just for checking on how you're going and kind of getting an idea on the thicknessing. You can also use other tools like a set of verniers, or if you have a set of the outside machinist calipers, those are handy for checking the thickness. Set. I'm sure you can work something out with some bent wire or a number of other things just for checking the thickness. As I say, I'm going to do most of the bulwark off camera, and then we'll come back in a few minutes, and the blades will be shaped and ready for cutting to outline. So that'll be it for a moment. Okay, I've got most of the rough sanding done, and we're starting to get a thing that looks like a prop. We're at the point where I need to start showing you a little bit of some of the tricks I'm using. Well, not tricks so much, but just some things that may not seem obvious at first. Working with the sanding stick, I've been shaping the blade and getting the thickness down, matching them up, and I'm starting to work on the lines so that you get the flow through from one blade to the next. So part of that involves things like starting to sand along the edge here and join this leading edge into the hub. So I'm sanding along the line. Yeah, there we go. I'm sanding along the line on the edge of the prop like this, and starting to get the shape and build that line up so that it goes straight across, and you can see the other blade there. So I'm developing the leading edge of the blade now so that it blends in as a smooth line into the hub, and doing the same thing on the other side. You can see I got to go a little bit more there. Now you see how the blade is actually parallel to the sanding stick like the other one was. So I'm going to just give that a little bit of a rounding, form the leading edge of that blade, and yeah, we're getting there. Won't be much longer now. So I'm kind of starting to pay attention to the shape, the entry shape of the leading edge now. I want to get a little bit of a I want to get a little bit more of that airfoil shape. If I grab that, I want to see that coming down onto the, with that airfoil, I want to see that little bit of a drop down towards the leading edge so we have a proper airfoil shape. I'm going to work on this a little bit more now, working on blending these areas through here and these areas through here, and I'll come back and then I'll make a template up to cut one. I'll cut the tip down on one side to what I find pleasing. Then I'll make a paper template and transfer it to the other tip, and then I'll shape it from there. So I'm going to go back off camera now because most of this I can't really do in front of the lens, but I think that's giving you the idea of how you kind of, as you develop the shape of the prop, you start thinking about how you want the lines to flow as you go through the hub from side to side, so you get that feeling of a flow coming through from one blade to the other. So back in a few moments. Okay, I've taken a blade shape, tracing off that blade, and it's all shaped to size, thinned it out, and I'll lay this. The stub of the paper goes up against the wire, and I lay that onto the blade with the leading edge matching up. That's where I've done it, and I just trace in here. And I'm going to cut that one down, and I'll be back to show you another little trick. Now I've got the other blade shape, and I don't know if you can see or not, but get in closer here, you can see how it gets thick after you've cut it away in that, because you've cut away the edges. So I'm going to do a little something extra here. To add a little bit of washout, I'm going to sand on the trailing edge up from behind, and I'll sand the leading edge from above. What that'll do is, on the end view here, you're going to bring a little bit of wash in just on that last little bit of the blade and drop the nose. Bring the trailing edge up, drop the nose, and you'll have a little bit of extra wash in the twist. And I think that's just about it. You can see the get it here. There you are. You can see the pitch. I like a fairly strong pitch angle. That's why it looks kind of like it does there. Like I say, I'd like to see about a 45-degree angle at the midpoint, and tapering off to, this one's a little bit more than 30 at the tip. I find this actually works well for a rubber model, where it wouldn't work for an electric model or anything like that, because rubber is a bit different than gas or electric. This style of prop is very high in pitch, which means it's probably stalled during the first part of the power burst, until the airplane settles down to a cruising, the RPM slows down and the airplane catches up to it. But that's fine, because that acts like a brake on the prop and holds the torque back in the motor, so it comes out a little bit more slowly. So it's not like you're losing power. All you're doing is you're damping down the burst to control the climb a little bit. So I do find that these work quite well. I don't get as strong a climb, but I get a much longer motor run than I would if I was running a finer pitch like I have done on some contest models. So that's my thinking process, and I like these type of props as a result, more for sport flying, where I'm basically flying in a fairly tight confines. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions, I posted a link to the RC group thread. Get back to me and ask questions, and I'll see if I can help them out. If there's any, we'll be doing another prop video for the Gollywalk Jabberwock Dynamo prop. This one here is actually just a practice. This is for you guys to kind of get a feel for what you have to do for carving. It's nice and cheap because you can make an 8.5-inch prop out of a piece of 1-inch square. So start with this, get a feel for it, and then we can go to more along the lines of a 13.5 or so for the Dynamo and Gollywalks. Okay, that's it for now. Thanks a lot.